there was like a projectile blood stream that like smashed into the wall just because there was so much blood buildup in it. What's up, guys? This is Derek, moreplates.com. Today I'm going to be talking quickly about why you should never pin your quads. When you first get into this stuff and you're looking up, how do you pin, what's proper administration technique, etc. for your prescribed testosterone replacement therapy or whatever your doctor has prescribed you. One of the main shot locations you'll see is glutes, quads, and maybe delts. But usually people are advised, glutes or quads, and quads is the absolute worst place to pin in my opinion, and I would avoid it like the plague, honestly. And the reason being, you're going to eventually, no matter how perfect your shot technique is, how sterile everything is, how perfect everything is laid out in your sequence of events for proper sterile administration, you're eventually going to get a shot that goes wrong in your quads. And don't ask me why this is, but it just happens to everyone. Everyone eventually has a bad shot in their quads if they do it for years on end, several shots in there. So I've never had an infection to date, but I did have one shot in my quad where, for no good reason whatsoever, my quad just inflated with blood to the point where I had to get it drained. And it wasn't drained as in there was like a, abscess or an infection or anything like that. My leg just like internally bled for no reason, and it just like filled the entire muscle belly with blood to the point that I couldn't even bend my leg because my leg was so swollen with blood, and it was so painful that I had to beg at the hospital for them to cut a fucking hole, more like a slit, in the quad. And once they finally did it, after me going in like 5 times, there was like a projectile blood stream that like smashed into the wall just because there was so much blood buildup in it, and it was like instant relief. And then my leg healed up and it was fine. But it's the exact same sterile testosterone used for TRT. Every shot has been the same sterile oil, and there was no good reason for it. Everything was perfect, and eventually you're just going to get either, even if you don't have a really bad shot that puts you in the hospital, you're going to have some sort of post-injection pain or PIP that cripples you to the point of you can barely walk, and you're like limping back and forth to your car, to work, to the gym, to whatever. And it's just like the worst possible spot you could pin because you literally walk on the leg. So think about when your glute is sore, the likelihood for whatever reason of the quads getting sore is 10 times more. And when it's sore, it's to the point where it's not just sore, it's like you have to limp on it. And this is not something that's sustainable long-term, in my opinion, or even if it is, it's just certainly not ideal, especially if you're using the volume of oil being a replacement therapy amount. Even if you're using super physiological amounts, unless you're using like 3 cc's every other day or something insane, there's almost no possible reason why you would even have to rotate to your quads. Like the 2 best shot locations, in my opinion, first of all, I would never pin an area where I'd be worried about an infection, where you would have to worry about like a chunk getting cut out and visibly disforming, making yourself look deformed kind of thing. So I would never pin arms. I would never pin delts. I would never pin quads. Now, absolutely not calves, because there's way too many nerves in the calves. The glute, and the one spot no one seems to talk about, which is the best shot location in my opinion, the ventroglute. So if you don't know what the ventroglute is, it's basically a muscle on the side over here, and the way to make it show up is, well, just Google how to find the ventroglute, but this is a shot location used a lot in actual clinical application in hospitals and stuff for intramuscular shots. Basically, if you lean on the leg to the side you're trying to make it jut out from, you'll see this muscle pop out on the side, kind of like between your pelvis and the rear part of your actual glute. And this kind of like side jutting out muscle is the easiest spot to reach, first of all, especially if you're super muscle bound and inflexible. It can hold the greatest amount of oil with the least post-injection pain. And I don't know, it's just like the best shot location in my opinion. It seems to handle shots the best, has the least soreness, least negative outcomes possible I've ever had is with that location. Even, compared to glute, I've had, odd occasion you might have a shot that just doesn't absorb as good as another shot, and you'll have like a little lump that exists for a bit. The ventral glute never have this issue. I don't know what it is. It's just better circulation, whatever it is. It's the ideal location in my opinion, and it's pretty much my go-to spot for pinning my TRT. So I basically just rotate between that and my normal glutes, but steer clear of your quads. It is the absolute last place you want to pin. And if you pin high volume, especially, you're eventually going to encounter some scenario that just like really screws you over. So just avoid it like the plague is my suggestion. Take from that what you will. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe. Check out my blog, moreplatesmoredates.com. Check me out on Instagram at moreplates_moredates. Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Check out the podcast, link in the description below. Check out the products that I am sponsored or affiliated with or create myself, like Girl of Mind, turnkey nootropic formula I developed. Also sponsored by Movement Watches. I have blood work in the video description as well. If you haven't got your blood work, highly recommend you obviously get your health markers checked on a regular basis. Some other cool stuff in there I would recommend you check out. So thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.